If it is determined that you have to take away my visa and Eloise visa, I want to say this publicly. It could be reported. I'm not looking for fight with anybody, but we have to be honest and open.
Top of the morning, every day above ground is a blessing. Always remember that. So chat, Jamaicans. So I want to ask this question. Donald Trump decided that he's going to sanction US visa to every single Caribbean country who helps Cuba. Listen to me now. Donald Trump decided that he's going to sanction US visa to any country who give an hand to the Cubans. So my question is, what is your Prime Minister Andrew Holness gonna do? What will your Prime Minister Andrew Holness gonna do? Is your Prime Minister just going to abandon the Cubans just like that? Is your Prime Minister going to abandon the Cubans just like that? After they help us so many years? Huh? We and the Cubans have such good love. The Cubans come like our family. What is your Prime Minister Andrew Holness going to do? We already know that he's weak, you know. Yes. We already know that Andrew Holness is weak. But what is he going to do right now, knowing that Donald Trump put a sanction on anyone who decided to help the Cubans? Huh? He put a sanction on the US visa. So you know, say if Andrew Holness continue to help the Cubans, when they can't come to America. So on the Prime Minister, I got just abandon the Cubans just like that. Remember, you know, the Cubans are some of the best doctors around the world, you know. Remember, the Cubans are some of the best doctors around the world. What is your weak Prime Minister going to do? Huh? Is he going to stand up? Or is he going to fall? Is your Prime Minister going to stand up? Or is he going to fall? Because we already know that Andrew Holness is weak. Yes. We already know that Andrew Holness is weak. I was so embarrassed when I came to Jamaica and I saw a LGBTQ, I don't even know how to call him, a LGB flag in a Jamaica, a fly around in a Jamaica, Batman flag, eh? Batty boy flag a fly around in a Jamaica, you know? Andrew Holness. Andrew Holness, this, you know? Theme. JLP. Allow Batty boy if you take over the country, you know? But no, that Donald Trump asks all of the Caribbean them who they support to stop helping the Cubans, or they are going to sanction US visa to the country who helps the Cubans. What is Donald Trump going to do right now? Ask yourself that question, because the Cubans have done so much good for Jamaicans. So is Jamaica going to betray the Cubans? Because I would see that as a betrayal. Yes. I would see that as a betrayal. Yes. If I was a Cuban, I would see that as a betrayal. So, is your Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, going to betray the Cubans and get rid of them from the island? Ask yourself that question. Because like I said, you have a very weak Prime Minister running the country. Yes, you have a very weak Prime Minister running the country. But let us see what's going to happen. Yes, people, every day above ground is a blessing. Yes, every day above ground is a what? Blessing. Yes, every day is a new story. Yes, Andrew Holness is weak. Weak. Allow Batman in the country. Allow Batman in our country to take over. For it to be a norm in the country. I was embarrassed when I came there December and I saw the Batty Boy flag, the Pride flag, I fly around. Breeze up, blow it up in the air. Embarrass people. I am not telling you to go vote for PNP, you know. No. But Andrew Holness definitely not it. No. Andrew Holness definitely not it. But every day above ground is a blessing. I'm out.
In a bold defiance of U.S. interference, Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, has just drawn a line in the sand. In response to the United States' latest threat over Cuba's healthcare workers in the Caribbean, Rowley declared, "I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all."
I just came back from California, and if I never there in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
But what does this mean for the rest of the Caribbean, and why are we witnessing such an intense clash of power? Stay tuned as we dive deep into the controversy. For decades, Cuba has sent its doctors, nurses, and healthcare professionals to the Caribbean, saving countless lives and filling a gap where medical resources are scarce. These Cuban health brigades have been a lifeline, not just in the Caribbean, but in places across the globe. But now, the U.S. has targeted this program, accusing it of being a form of forced labor. The reason? They claim that the Cuban government is exploiting its medical professionals. But is this the full truth? Trinidad's Prime Minister, Rowley, stands unwavering in the face of this threat. Just returned from California, Rowley makes it clear, the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago will not be compromised. And it's not just Trinidad. Leaders from across the Caribbean are stepping up, pushing back against the U.S.'s growing interference in their internal affairs. Prime Minister Gonzalez of St. Vincent and the Grenadines boldly defended the Cuban program, calling out the misinformation being spread. He points out, maybe some people in Florida don't quite understand what's happening here. When they get the full story, they'll see they're mistaken.
The Secretary of State of the United States of America has issued a statement that countries which are complicit in his words with trafficking in persons and exploiting Cuban professionals, the doctors and engineers who come, that those who are complicit would lose their passport, they lose their visas and their families. Now, I know we're not involved in any exploitation of Cuban workers. And I know that the Cubans are not involved either, the Cuban government. I know the arrangements. And I believe that the Secretary of State is a good and decent man. I would not say anything bad about him. I don't say things. It is not in my nature to say bad things about people unless I have the evidence. And I have no evidence. And he appears to me to be a good man. And if he knows the facts, I'm sure that he will understand that we are not involved in that.
And Antigua's Prime Minister, Gaston Brown, couldn't have been more direct. The U.S. should treat the Caribbean with some degree of respect. He emphasized how the Cuban medical missions are vital for the survival of Caribbean healthcare systems and warned that punitive action would dismantle them. For years, countries like Trinidad, Antigua, St. Vincent, and Jamaica have relied on Cuban medical professionals, paying them top dollar, equal to local rates, for their expertise. They're not victims of human trafficking. They are highly skilled workers contributing to the health and well-being of the Caribbean people. In his recent address, Raleigh didn't hold back. He recalled the heartbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic when countries like the US prioritized their own citizens over others. And now, when the Caribbean turns to Cuba for help, the US wants to strip away vital resources under the guise of human trafficking. Raleigh calls it what it is, a blatant misinterpretation.
We rely a lot for our healthcare delivery on certain specialists who over the decades we have obtained from India, from the Philippines, sometimes from Africa, and mainly from Cuba. Out of the blue now we are being called human traffickers because we hire technical people who we pay top dollar equal to local rates, but we are now being accused of taking part in the program where people are being exploited. That's somebody's interpretation. And of course, there are local people here encouraging them to take away our US visas. Today, I just came back from California. And if I never there again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
But here's the bigger question. Why is the US suddenly so threatened by Cuban doctors in the Caribbean? Could it be that these doctors, who've been essential in countries like Jamaica, Trinidad, and Guyana, are now seen as a symbol of the Caribbean's growing independence? The region's refusal to bow to external pressure is causing discomfort at the highest levels of US politics. Make no mistake, this isn't just about Cuba. It's about the Caribbean's right to decide its own future. It's about sovereignty, unity, and our refusal to be bullied. Leaders across the region are standing together, declaring that the Caribbean will not be swayed by foreign powers who seek to control us. This is a turning point, a time when the Caribbean must stand firm. As Raleigh said, "If I never go back to California again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is respected. And we, as a united Caribbean, must ensure that our sovereignty is never questioned."
The CARICOM is not scared of Donald Trump. Once again, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm your host Larry. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you're watching my videos for the first time. Now, let's have just a quick discussion on the video that you've just watched. Well, to begin with, why does Trump want the Caribbean countries to cut their ties with Cuba? Just because he cut his ties with Cuba. Well, now this comes after Donald Trump asked Jamaica not to join BRICS. Now, Cuba is the third most popular country in the Caribbean. Well, we all know that Cuba is among the countries that has the best doctors all around the world. Now, why does Trump want the Caribbean countries not to join or rather support Cuba? Is it because he knows how strong the Caribbean countries will develop and become independent and not depend on the United States at all? Well, he did cut the aid that was being given to Jamaica. Now, in this video, as you've seen, this Jamaican man is questioning what the Prime Minister of Jamaica, who is Dr. Andrew Holness, is going to do about this. Is he going to just let Donald Trump win? Is he going to follow what Donald Trump has just said? Is he going to become a puppet to Donald Trump? Because we know Cuba has really built several schools in Jamaica. For instance, we have Jose Martin School, and also we have the Fidel Castro campus. And also Jamaica has several imports that it's getting from Cuba. Now, this is not just a Cuban problem, it's not just a Jamaican problem, it's not just a Guyanese problem, it's not just a Trinidad and Tobago problem, but a Caribbean. And I'm glad to see how much the Caribbean leaders have came out and supported Cuba in all this. They've told Trump to keep his visas, that they don't need them. Because it's high time that Trump leaves the Caribbean business alone. It's high time that Trump leaves African business alone. This guy is totally misleading other countries. He is doing these because it's only beneficial to him and not to others. He doesn't want to see other countries develop. He wants to be the only one supplying him this support so that he can control these countries. You know, they all say that somebody who feeds you controls your mouth and your actions. Now he wants to make these countries bow to the United States. While out here, people are fully focusing on unity. We want the Caribbean countries to unite just as much as we want Africa to unite. Again, it's very impressive how the Caribbean leaders came together in support of the Cubans. Now, tell me in the comment section what you think of this action from Donald Trump, and also tell me what you think that the Caribbean leaders should do. Should they just leave Cuba alone? And we all know how Cuba has helped much of the Caribbean countries. Now, just tell me what you think that the Caribbean leaders should do, and also let me know where you're watching me from. So thank you for sticking around with me up to the end of this video. I'm your host Larry. If you're watching my videos for the first time, please consider subscribing, like, comment and share. To my returning subscribers, I have to say thank you so much for sticking around with me and coming back to watch my videos. To my new subscribers, my new viewers, please consider subscribing if you're yet to subscribe. And I want to assure you that you are on the right channel. Otherwise, I'm your host Larry, and until we meet in the next video, peace out.